I will bring this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And at this time, I'd like to just remind council to state any conflict or interest prior to discussion of any agenda item. All right, next is roll call. We started this at the last city council meeting, so we'll start with Councilwoman Janine Bullock. Present. Councilman Ken Buchanan. Present. Councilman Frank Williams. Here. Councilwoman Nancy Shoemaker Dingus.
I'm here.
Oh, I'll skip that. We'll get it. Councilwoman Natalie Coots.
Well, you better not forget my name.
No, we forgot something.
I'm here.
Councilwoman Sherry Hunter.
Present.
Councilman Cody Reedy.
Present.
Everybody else? At this time, I think we have Dr. Joseph Gordon who's going to give us Golden. What did I say?
I represent Tim McBeth here in Deckery. Let us bow our heads in prayer and blessing. Baruch es Adonai Baruch. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vaed. Praise to God to whom praise is due. The God of Abraham, Jacob, Isaac, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. The God of Jesus and the God of Muhammad. The God who instills the divine light within all of us. May this light unite us. In these deliberations by the mayor, the city council, the city manager, and the departments of the city of Beckley. May this light inspire these representatives of the people of Beckley to be dedicated to humbly do the people's work, to make the city stronger and prosperous, to make people's lives better, and addressing the common good of all. May this council find solutions to difficult questions, find satisfaction in their endeavors, and gratitude in the contributions of all. May the words of our mouth and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable to God on high, to the divine within each of us, and to all the people here on earth. V'yeru Amen, and let us say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a reading approval of the minutes from the January 14, 2025 council meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second? Thank you, council. Next up is reading approval of the minutes for the January 23rd workshop. May I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
A second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. Okay, thank you, council. Next up is the city manager's report. At this time, I'll turn it over to our city manager, Michael Rosaire.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming out. First of all, I wanted to point out to council that we have our new 2025 events calendar listed. Jill done a great job on getting that out there, and it should be posted on our website and our Facebook page, so that way the public can be aware of the different events that the city will be putting on throughout the next coming year. So we definitely want to invite everyone out to have the same attendance like we're having here at all our city events as they're going on into the future. The next couple of items that kind of affects us in a great way. There was an executive order by President Trump that was enacted that suspended all federal grants, loans, and payments. And so I just wanted to make council aware of that some of our loans and different things like that and our grants will be affected by that right now. And so we're going to work with our legislatures and being on the lookout to see how the federal government's going to reenact that and what we need to do to go about keeping the grants we have or reapplying for them in the new way that's going to happen. The next item topic is the homeless shelter. I know a lot of the people here today are here concerning that, and that is very important to us because I was just on the phone with Mr. Roop today with the county, and he was saying that they have met with representatives of the homeless shelter. They've agreed to put an item on their agenda for next week. I believe it was February 4th, where the county's going to review giving funding to help contribute to making sure the homeless shelter remains open. And so in conjunction with that, I've been in contact with Mr. File. We don't have a lease right now for the homeless shelter, which is, again, the attorney in me and the eviction attorney in me is kind of annoyed by the fact that we don't have a lease. And so we need to establish a lease so that way we can make sure that the homeless shelter is functioning in compliance with everything that in state order. And so that way we can get the money to them and present that. So we're going to work aggressively to try and have a lease prepared for council to review the next council meeting. I believe that's going to be the 11th of February. And then I've prepared the city manager's report, especially due to the fact that we're coming into budgeting season and starting preparing and gearing up for the budgeting year. I went through and done a highlight of the different budgets for the different departments, some of the needs that I've observed, and from what staff have talked to me about in regards to those different departments. One of the main highlights is that our Parks and Rec doesn't actually have an established budget yet, and so it'd be kind of a benefit to make sure that we, in this budget year, actually spell out that budget for the Parks and Rec, so that we can be more accountable and financially secure of our residents' money. And so it's just similar things like that are in this report. Obviously with time, I won't go through any more regarding that, but I just wanted to make sure that council will review those and help in the preparation of our budget this year. Thank you. That concludes my
Very
report.
good, yeah. Good stuff. Thank you, Michael. All right, next up is comments. Like I said, we started new this year. So we'll start with you, Councilwoman Bullock, if there's something that maybe you would like. Again, this is not open for discussion amongst us, but something that you might want to see on a future agenda.
Okay, first off is the land banks, especially with Ward 5 and Ward 3. We have a lot of vacant lots and abandoned houses there in, like I said, Ward 5 and Ward 3, that we need to discuss the land bank issues. And hopefully that would be sooner than later. Also, on LaRue Avenue, Mr. Councilman Reedy, Councilman at Large Reedy, is checking out at Glade Springs because they do have bumps. I was out there maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they have the bumps. They're very small, but they got my attention. So that's something too that we might could look at for LaRue. And one more thing, a stoplight needs to be there at the soccer field and where Beckley Elementary is. We could do a study there because I've had some complaints about the traffic there and those buses trying to come out of the school. So I think that's all I have for right now.
Okay, very good. Councilman Buchanan?
Yes, I'd like to thank Michael for sending us that email with the city, with the land that we own, the
Yeah.
land that we own in the buildings, taking good steps, because I've always wanted to see what the city does, type of land-wise and building-wise. Also, I'd like to see an inventory of the automobiles we have, all the automobiles, different departments in the city garage, what we have on that. So that's it.
All right, very good. Councilman Williams?
Well, I'd like to ditto what Ms. Bullock said about the land bank in Ward 3 and Ward 5. Also like to have a survey done, try to get these donut holes filled here in the city back to make Beckley bigger and stronger. That's gonna be about it right now.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Councilwoman Shoemaker Dingus?
Nothing at this time.
Okay.
I have some complaints from Ward 1 of potholes. You
Oh,
know,
yeah,
we
they're
know that that's a
everywhere.
usual. Mr. Boland, are we able to do anything about that at this time with the weather being such as it is?
Yes, ma'am, we're going around putting cold patch on. As you find them,
Okay,
If it snows and everything, a lot of it will be plowed right back.
okay. I'll get in touch with you tomorrow or something. There's one that's pretty bad, but it's like a city road and a state road cross, and we're not sure who's responsible for it. So I'll get in touch with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I think that's all.
Okay. I spoke about at the last city council meeting about we refer to it as the WJS building, even though it's the building that WVVA is in. Again, their lease is up at the end of this month, so that's pretty much going to leave that whole building, 5 storefronts. I think we have 1 tenant, so just need to figure out what we want to do with that, whether we want to auction it off. I know Michael Rosario and I talked about possibly, you'd email me about a lease to own or something like that, if that's possible. But I would just like to, for these buildings that we own, that there's no tenants, Fruits of Labor building, let's get some kind of action going and try to figure out what's the best path to do with those. All right, Councilwoman Hunter.
Okay, a couple years ago, I brought to council's attention that a constituent at Woodcrest was talking about the traffic being backed up. So I reached out, and that constituent spoke at the last city council meeting. So I reached out to Principal Stafford. Anybody that's attended a concert or a recital at the auditorium knows the traffic. So this will make council scratch their head. Woodrow Wilson High School student drivers, 250 vehicles. ACT driver, student vehicles, 125. Woodrow Wilson staff, 120 vehicles. ACT staff, 40 vehicles. Additional traffic that does not park at our facilities but on campus between 6:50 and 7:20, again from 2 o'clock to 2:45. Parent drop-off, 125 vehicles. ACT parent drop-off, 50 vehicles. With parent drop-off and pickup in the AM and PM, vehicles leaving campus pull onto Woodcrest Drive, which is a city street, before exiting Stanford Road, which is not, it's state maintained. Oftentimes there is backed up traffic from the stop sign leading to Stanford Road all the way back to the Woodrow Wilson baseball field and auditorium. As a result of watching this issue daily for several years, I believe that it would be immensely helpful if there was a traffic light at the intersection of Woodcrest Drive and Stanford Road that aided in traffic leaving Woodrow Wilson and Woodcrest between the time slots that I just spoke about. As it pertains to school bus and traffic coming and leaving via the bypass, a school zone during the times listed above would address daily safety concerns. It is extremely difficult to leave Woodrow's property toward the bypass, especially when turning left towards the YMCA soccer complex. In conclusion, the above considerations will not only help our local secondary school with improved efficiency and safety, but will also serve the constituents of Beckley who are looking for a way to get their children to and from school safely during their day-to-day work as they commute and they serve the many businesses, schools, and health care facilities, etc., that aid in the greater prosperity of Beckley. So we will still be in contact with the West Virginia DOH to see what we can do. Woodrow Wilson High School is the only school in the county that does not have a flashing light in front of the school because it sits so many feet back from Route 41. Although, we can maybe go toward getting a resolution. And I'm sorry that was so lengthy, Mayor.
Oh, you're good. Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Reedy?
Yeah, I kind of want to echo off what Councilman Buchanan said. I mean, I would like to see an inventory on all of our assets, vehicles, property, and stuff. It was really good to see that. And to kind of echo off of that is we'll go over a little bit more over parking commission, but thanks to Donnie and some of the people at the fire department and stuff, they got me a map and breakdown of all the parking lots and the public parking we have. So I got a good little bit of information on that to kind of show you all the parking lots that we have that I didn't even know we had, and that it's come to most of them that are monthly parking, it seems like they're under 50% capacity or completely empty. So I think we got our homework in us to figure out what we're going to do, but I'll touch base a little bit on that here after the meeting.
All right, very good. Next item on the agenda is old business. At the last city council meeting, there was an approval of operations budget that was on the floor, and at this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Fowle.
Yes, sir. I believe what we would need tonight would be a motion to take this matter off the table. As you recall, it was tabled, I believe it was a motion by Mr. Reedy to table it. Or excuse me, Mr. Williams, but it was Mr. Reedy's motion that was tabled. So we would need a motion and a second to remove this matter from the table so that it can be discussed and then ultimately voted upon by council. And the matter that would be voted on by council would be Mr. Reedy's motion. So there are two motions. First is the motion to take this matter off the table. And then once that is done, if approved by council, then there would be then there would be discussion and then a vote on Mr. Reedy's motion, which would then be before council. And it would be a motion that Mr. Reedy had made to approve the bid, to accept the bid. So once you get it off the table, I'll go back and explain. to you.
Okay, that sounds perfect. Man, I was hoping you'd say that. All right, so at this time, I have a motion to table the operation audit, take it off the table. at
So
this
moved.
time.
To remove it.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no? All right, continue, Mr.
Okay.
Fowle.
Next, what is back before council now
Okay.
is the original motion that Mr. Reedy
Okay.
had made to accept the bid that was offered. And so now it would require discussion by council. If there's no discussion, then a vote on Mr. Reedy's motion. If you vote to approve his motion, then you are accepting the contract.
Very good.
If you vote against the motion, then you are declining the bid. You are not accepting the bid, if that's understood by each member of council. And if anybody has any questions, be glad to confuse you further.
So basically, the motion's on the floor and we are open for discussion.
Correct.
So do I ask for the motion, or is it just already?
It's already on there, so
All
now
right,
just ask
great.
for discussion.
So at this time, is there any discussion by council on the operation audit from last?
I'd like to
city
make
council
just a
meeting?
few comments on the matter. The workshop was very helpful that we had on Thursday. But, just some questions that I would like to ask the gentleman from Municipal Solutions that I wasn't able to because of disconnection. I really wanted to know when he started working on it. I find it hard to believe that it was done in a 5-day working period through the holiday season, especially when two other companies said that they didn't have time. So I would really like to know when did the discussion with him started. And then, he kept on talking when Ms. Coots asked questions about he only does 80% of his work is with return clients. How did Beckley, West Virginia, a small town, pop on his map to pick up a 20% customer? And then, we all received an email on Friday that I felt was very unprofessional. It was a major turnoff to me and seemed kind of desperate and demanding. But in that email, he stated that he was working with Ohio County and the city of Wheeling. So I did my due diligence yesterday and I made some phone calls, and he is correct. He has worked. He's currently working with two organizations in Ohio County. He's working with the Ohio Valley Regional Transport Authority. And this is all public knowledge through their agenda minutes and conversations I had with the folks up there. On the Ohio Valley Regional Transport Authority, they're looking for an executive position, and it was at the beginning of 2024. They had a deadline of April of 2024, and that position is yet to be filled. And then I talked to the Ohio County. They were doing a salary survey that was promised to have a 90-day deadline, kind of similar to what we're getting promised, and it's pushing 6 months, and it has not been fulfilled. So that is some major concerns to me, receiving only one bid. I really think that we need to, as many had spoke about in the workshop, that we need to put this out for rebid and see, and do our due diligence with every company to figure out what, if you're going to give references, then we need to call the references and see how the work's doing. that's just kind of my standpoint on
Very
it.
good.
I want to take a stand there too, Cody, because, I'm sorry, Councilman Reed. I thought that email was absolutely reprehensible. It was as if he believed that our simple little hillbilly heads couldn't wrap themselves around the idea of this assessment. And I'm sorry, I just don't think that this is a firm we want to do business with. My opinion.
I agree with
Counsel.
Councilman at Large, Mr. Reedy, that we need to be open to bids.
I could not believe the email. I read it once, read it twice, and the more I read it, the more I was saying, I don't believe I'm reading what I'm reading. It was ridiculous. I believe we need to rebid it as well.
Well, personally, I think we also need to put on review, but I think people have the wrong opinion of the bid, not the bid, but the concept of it. I don't think the bid is to fire anybody. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think anyone's job is up for jeopardy. I think he has some good points and also some bad points. But I do think you need to put on rebid because of the simple fact people are saying, well, he's from Arizona and he got this company from Arizona, and that they feel that they are coming in, or he's trying to bring people in to take our jobs. Personally, I really don't think that's what's going to happen. But I think we do need to put it up for rebid, though.
I agree with that statement,
And
Councilman
due to the time
Williams.
frame, I think it was only, 5 days, and it was during the holidays.
I think it was 6 business
6
days.
business days during Christmas and during New Year's.
During New
So
Year's.
who is going to be trying to put a document together?
Well, the whole city council was in limbo for a whole month on all business.
Right, no, I'm just talking about the
Right, I
document.
understand. I
And
got
the
you.
bid, and the bid process.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I read it. Like 5 times. Anyone else have any comments?
No, I just think we need more bids. I think we ought to open it back up.
Okay. Anybody else?
And you might repeat when you call for the vote that if they vote no, that means they are declining the contract.
Everybody got that?
Yep.
All right, so at this time, may I have all those in favor of approving the operations budget that was presented to City Council at the last City Council meeting, please say so by saying aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
All right, thank you, council. I think that's good work, I really do. Good job. Next up, we have a guest speaker, Timothy Watson with the SBA, the Small Business Association.
It's the administration had.
Oh, sorry, man. Small Business Administration. That's why I called it SBA.
Can't have me looking bad.
That's why I called it SBA.
So Timothy Watson, Public Affairs Specialist
Yes, sir.
with the United States Small Business Administration, Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. We respond to disasters across the country, so everything that you see taking place on TV right now, we are there. Basically, Raleigh County was trying to get declared in the declaration we are serving now. The declared county is Mercer County. So what that means is, unfortunately, this county is a contiguous county, and it's not declared. So the economic injury disaster loan is the specific program that we have available to businesses and nonprofits. Now, these businesses and nonprofits would have had to have some effect between September 25th through the 28th. This is in response to Tropical Storm Helene. Now, with that being said, any form of working capital, any form of financial obligation that the business or nonprofit is not able to meet as a result of that, that can actually apply to this loan program. And if you would, let me get my phone out so make sure I give you the correct date on that deadline. 1 second. Oh. Paperwork. September 9th, 2025. So businesses and nonprofits for that specific program are given that amount of time because you're not necessarily going to know what financial obligation you're able to meet at this moment in time. It may take some time. And with that being said, you have the amount of the 9 months. We are also responding with that same program if you have businesses or nonprofits in the following counties of West Virginia: McDowell, Monroe, Raleigh, Summers, Wyoming. And if you have properties in Bland County, Giles, and Tazewell in Virginia. And briefly, I will go over the physical damage loan, just in case if you do have properties in Mercer County, or just an FYI for future references. So the physical damage loan covers up to $2 million, and so does the economic injury disaster loan. The physical damage loan covers businesses, nonprofits, homeowners, as well as renters. Renters can qualify for up to $100,000 for the interior intakes of their home. It also qualifies vehicular damages as well, as long as the insurance claim has not already been financed already. You can have an insurance claim on the books and still file with Small Business Administration for physical damages. Also, we cover a homeowner for up to $500,000. If the homeowner is approved, we also provide an additional 20% for mitigation purposes, meaning we want you to build back the structure of your building of your home a little bit more resilient to whatever storm that may occur in the future. So that's why the additional 20% is provided. For businesses and nonprofits, we also assist with not only physical damages as far as up to $2 million, but also machinery, equipment, or inventory that may have been damaged and you need to repair it or replace it. So with those different programs, we have interest rates for the physical damage side of 2.813 at the lowest, 5.625 at the highest. The highest meaning if you can obtain funding beyond the Small Business Administration. The lowest meaning if you can only obtain funding with the Small Business Administration. For business loans, it's 4% for at the lowest, 8% at the highest. Nonprofit organizations is 3.25% across the board. For businesses and small agricultural cooperatives, it's 5% for the economic injury disaster loan. For the nonprofit organizations, it's 3.250%. Now we do have recovery centers in Mercer County. FEMA always responds to the declared county. They cannot respond until the contiguous counties like the SBA. Just an FYI if you did not know. So with that being said, we are at the Princeton Library, and we are also at the Lifeline Church in Princeton, West Virginia. So if anyone wants to get assistance in person, I would definitely encourage you to make the drive, get some support, find out what you need, registration, and they'll actually just walk you through the application process, or going online at sba.gov/disaster, or calling our 1-800 number, which is 1-800-659-2955. Sound like a commercial at the end.
It's pretty good.
But I wanted to just come and provide this information to you, and also the FYI, and also all the other counties that you may not be familiar that we are actually responding to. So, just think about us. There is no interest rates for the first 12 months. You do not have to make a payment for the first 12 months. The interest rates are fixed, meaning they can never go up. These loan terms can be paid on up to 30 years. You do not have to take the full amount of whatever loan that you decide to get approved from the SBA. So it's a lot of good perks, as well as FEMA as well. So if you have property in Mercer County, please get the free money, people, and take advantage of FEMA as well for Mercer County. Do I have any questions?
Any questions from council?
Sure.
No, good job. Well, question, now you said on the one that on your automobile, that if your insurance on your automobiles is in full, you're applying for, but you can still apply for the FEMA?
Yes. So with that being said, that's under FEMA and the SBA. So more so with the SBA, if you have an insurance, right, because you have to have insurance on your vehicle, and you have the claim that you have already filed, but you have not been paid out on that claim, you can go ahead and file with Small Business Administration. Now, in the same context of a homeowner. So if a homeowner has insurance and they file an insurance claim, that doesn't stop you from being able to apply with us and actually get approved. And then when you get approved, whatever funding that you got from your insurance claim, you can use that insurance claim money to actually pay off the loan. I'll give you some other, a couple of more examples. Insurance deductibles are very high. So with that being said, if you're ever in that situation, well, you know, well, Mr. Watson, I have insurance. I don't want to get in a fraudulent situation with the Small Business Administration. What do? Well, I'm glad you asked, Mayor. So what you would do, you would file for the loan with the Small Business Administration, and then when you get funded, if you're approved, you can use some of that money to actually pay the insurance deductible.
Okay.
You can also use the money to pay off credit card debts incurred from the disaster, or if you had out-of-pocket expenses. So I would just suggest always keep your receipts, get any form of footage, video feeds. I'm not saying stand there and flood, but get what you can get so we can kind of approve you.
Right.
Because when we respond, we're going to send an assessment team. You apply. Mr. Williams applied for a loan. Now we need to see what kind of damages Mr. Williams has. We're going to send an assessment team to review the property, see what kind of damages that you have. And for any reason, if you don't think the assessment is adequate or you think you've been lowballed, you can ask for a reassessment, and that's with FEMA as well. And the same thing for an assessment with the emergency management for the county. This county was not declared, and I think went through the process at least 2 times to my knowledge. It may have been 3. But with that being said, because I talked to the emergency manager, I always talk to them first. But with that being said, if an assessment is not adequate, you guys can always request for FEMA and the Small Business Administration to do a reassessment of the county to see if the county can get declared for additional funding.
That's good.
So what do you need to ask for the reassessment?
Immediately, yesterday. Because
Any reasons why?
they did not. I don't know because I'm an outsider and I don't work for them if they didn't want to disclose the information. But I do know sometimes it's the amount of damages. I do believe it was 8 properties throughout the county that did have damages. So, if you can find something, a couple of more buildings, don't burn anything. And try to see if going through the reassessment process again, if the county can get declared. I know the February 7th deadline for physical damages and for the declaration itself has been extended to the 14th. Just so that's why.
Then how long do you think FEMA, have you all received any type of clarification on FEMA from the federal government in reference to when those programs will probably not be in existence anymore?
No, that's way down the line, and that's FEMA side, so I can't speak on that behalf. Of course you didn't. But I can give you a contact. Matter of fact, I've been talking to the city manager down there. I'll make sure I get you a contact and make sure that he get in touch with you just in case if that question arises again. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right.
Good job.
I appreciate it. And,
Thank you, Mr. Watson.
Thank you. And thank you, City Manager. Did you get the email that I sent you?
Yes.
Okay. If you would, please put that information out to this lovely public so they can
Absolutely.
know what's going on.
Absolutely.
And they can get the documentation that the council has. I appreciate it.
We got to have you back more often. Appreciate it. Great job, by the way.
Good job.
All right, next up. Next up is a motion to approve letter from Mayor to Federal Aviation Administration supporting the Bethlehem Fire Department's request for a certificate of authorization to operate drones for public safety and emergency response purposes. So at this point, I will let Chief Thompson speak more on this. Whatever you want to explain.
Basically, this letter of support is the city's endorsement for us to start a drone program here in the city for public safety response. It's the first step in our FAA paperwork to get that approved.
And they're really cool.
I bet they are.
They really are. They're really cool.
All right.
Those drones are cool.
So at this point, may I have a motion for the bid?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? Okay, great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. Okay, thank you, council. All right, next is public comments. There's several of them tonight. So just keep in mind that when you come up to the podium, just state your name and your address. Remember, you only have 3 minutes. Recorder Treasurer Jessica Chandler will let you know when you only have 30 seconds left. So again, if you can keep it as quick and to the point as possible. And first up is Mary West.
Yes. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here once again to let you all know something. I'm not gonna come and demand you all to do anything. I wanna work with you all to make not just my street, but all of Beckley a better place to live. And I wanna thank you all for keeping the prayer in city council, because I am so tired of hearing arguments about the city prayer being here. And my Bible says, where one or two assemble, he's in the midst. And he wants us to pray without ceasing. He didn't say where we have to be, but just pray without ceasing. And he also speaks of the pride of life. And if we have to close the doors and pray in silence, I turn my head to things that I hear that are not right here in this life, then take that stuff off of these streets and send them back where they belong, close the doors, and throw the key away. Because we should not have to listen to people complaining about what our Heavenly Father intends to happen, and it be taken from us. So please keep the prayer in these meetings so that these meetings can go and be productive and not no malice from anyone. So if you all can do that for us, please do. And I will be coming to city council just to ask you all to help. I'm not gonna demand you do anything, because that's been 20-some years of demands, and I haven't gotten anywhere. So please, help. Please, please, please. Thank you all, and be blessed.
Thank you.
Yeah, Anthony, take it.
All right, next up, Danielle Stewart.
Thank you all very much. I want to pass this down real quick. As the city manager had mentioned, we had a great meeting with the county commissioners today, as well as delegate group, to discuss the funding at the shelter. First, I want to say I appreciate everyone with your phone calls and support. Even if I have not talked to some of you directly, I have heard of the other conversations that you've had with other members. I greatly appreciate that. It looks pretty firm that we are going to get that funding from the county, and hopefully we will be able to continue that with the city. What I've given you though is, basically, I made some accusations when I talked to you all at the workshop about us being unfunded and defunded compared to many others. And so I owed you all kind of the receipts on that. And that's these documents that I just gave you here. And the first one is a map. And it kind of shows, where all the shelters are, how much funding they receive, as well as, so let me say this, I put an arbitrary red line because I think that, if you look at the map, it's pretty clear we consider that southern West Virginia. When you're in Morgantown, everywhere is southern West Virginia. But you can see that based off of that line though, we get funded at 35 cents per person, and we have one shelter in southern West Virginia and 2 regions with no funding whatsoever, versus central and northern West Virginia, which gets $1.28 per person, 10 shelters with only 1 region unfunded. Paints a pretty interesting picture. But on the, again, arbitrary red line. So what I did on the backside is you'll see a table, and I laid out the regions by population so that you could, it really makes it clear. Region 3, our region is the second largest region by population. In some cases, we get less than 1/3 of funding of the other regions. Except, of course, for the 3 that don't receive any funding, which you combine all 3 of them, there's still less population than what we have here in Region 3. So, and I bring this to you not just to, to show you that I'm not just, pulling numbers out my butt when I stood up here. But, you know, again, as I said before, I'm really concerned about
30 seconds.
the support of the city and the county and them saying, well, we're not going to fund you at all because they're picking it up. And you can see here, this is wrong. And so I think our legislature is going to pick that up as a task. And Delegate Roop said he was going to look into it for me, for all of us. And greatly appreciate, but again, appreciate all y'all's work on this, the city and the county. And as always, if there's any questions, let me know, but we're looking good.
Great job, Danielle. Thank you. Next up is Gabriel Covington.
My name is Gabriel Covington. I'm a resident of 307 East Prince Street. I know some of y'all saw me on the television this week. What I'm raising up and to talk about is the closing of the Pinehaven Shelter. And the reason I brought that up, my spouse was homeless, my mother was homeless, and I've been homeless a time or two. As a recovering addict, a lot of the resources that we have in this community depend on, like the shelter. And the biggest thing is, I do want to apologize. I wasn't accusing any of you of not acting and inactive of that. I was just saying in general of elected officials across the state, because Southern West Virginia is the ugly stepchild of West Virginia, as we are to know. And so the biggest thing for me is to bring adherence and to bring observance of it. And so that's my attendant of that. And the last thing I wanted to bring up, if we're going to have prayer in city council, it needs to include everyone, or not include everyone and not have it. And that's the last thing. Thank you very much.
All right, next up, Kayla Covington.
My name is Kayla Covington, and I came here because of the shelter also. I have also been homeless. I was homeless living in a car with my oldest son when I was younger, and I was homeless another time when I had 3 kids, a dog who started having puppies on the way, and a cat. So my kids trick-or-treated that year out of a tent, and I was working at a truck stop just for tips in order to get hired and try to get some money up. So thanks to them, the government had a CETA program, and I actually made more going to school than I did when I first graduated nursing school. So up until I got cancer, that sustained us pretty well, but we're kind of roughing it right now again. Hopefully we won't see y'all at the shelter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Amanda Emmon.
Okay, I'm Amanda Inman. I'm here to talk about Pinehaven as well, which is, as Danielle said, was one of the only emergency shelters in 11 counties in southern West Virginia. I have worked with Raleigh County Community Action in the past, specifically with Pinehaven, to get these people housed. So I understand the vital role that it plays. As a mother and a teacher here in Raleigh County, I know that these children, especially the children that are going to be affected by this, I've seen them, I've taught them, I know them, and I know their families. So providing more than just shelter, we've got connections to their housing, jobs, transportation, and it helps them find stability. So closing it or delaying with anything is selfish of people that might not have ever experienced it. And I'm going to say that is your privilege. If you've never experienced it, never been homeless, you don't know what it's like. I've lived it when I was a child. My mother and I lived out of a car for 6 months before she found a shelter. We're in a brand new state, knew nobody. So as a child, I know the fear that these kids are feeling. I know that fear, and I'm hoping that maybe you could have some empathy and some urgency and some compassion for these individuals and put yourself in their shoes. Can you imagine living in your car with your children? Can you imagine getting kicked out, evicted, and sleeping on the street? If you can put yourselves in that position and have that empathy, you can feel fear in your chest, not knowing where your next meal is coming from, not knowing where you're going to sleep or if you're going to be safe. So if it closes, my children, my students, who I call my children, my students and students all over the county are going to lose their beds, they're going to not have meals, and their parents are not going to have the security that they need. So I ask yourselves, if you are religious, is what people want to happen in city council all of a sudden.
30 seconds.
You have to ask yourselves, what would Jesus do? Would he cut the funding 75%? Or would he love? So I'm going to say one more thing before I'm out. When speaking on your privilege, do not get salty when I say that, because as I said, you might not have experienced it. But when you are counting yourself lucky, you might not be a landlord, but you do work for us.
Thank you. All right, next is Chessie Collins.
Hi, my name is Chessie Collins. I live at 268 Chapelwood Drive. I am also a teacher in Raleigh County. I have been involved with the homeless shelter since roughly 2018, when I had several of my own babies in my classroom that had to find housing there for a lengthy period of time. I have served in different capacities at the shelter, volunteering over the last 6 years. However, today I'm coming to you as a teacher. Just the thoughts of a child out in the cold, or in any elements for that matter, simply breaks my heart, as I'm sure it does many of yours. And so I realize this is not just a city problem, it's not just a county problem, it's not just a state problem. But I think that if we can all come together, and within every little bit that we have, we can certainly solve the problem. I just ask that any funds that you may have excess, I implore that you maybe utilize them to help these babies that are at the shelter, which is no fault of their own. They are there due to choices of others. And so just envision, I bet many of you are parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, your own little ones at 5, 6, 7 years old. The evening, maybe when the flurries are starting to come down and it's not quite freezing, they can't make it to the church, that's open of the evening, but they're still cold and they're holding their mommy or their daddy's hand and wandering the streets. Again, I implore you, if there's any excess funds, please consider donating them to Pine Haven. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy Mann.
Right here.
All right.
I don't need no microphone. My name's Randy Mann. I've been involved with the homeless shelter for 35 years. That was my daughter that just spoke. And I trained her right, I believe. I believe I trained her right when she was a little girl. Took her to the homeless shelter. She'd gather up her toys that she didn't play with, and she'd take them to the homeless shelter and give them to the little kids that was there. What I want to talk to you about, there's two sides to everything. You cannot name me, and I challenge anybody in here to name me one-sided something. Where there's up, there's down, there's in, there's out, there's light, there's dark, there's left, there's right. Not a one of you can tell me that there's one side to anything. Not a one. I'm 66. Haven't run across it yet. Don't believe I will. What I want to talk to you about is what's going on in Congress, in Washington. You talk about the homeless shelter. Well, let me tell you, I did some math the other day. This bill did not pass, but they're going to tack it on to another bill that will pass. And when it passes, what this is, it's called a vacancy bill. If you've got a building out behind your house and it's empty and it has windows and it has a door, and you have somebody out in the cold and they want to get warm, they can bust that door open and go in there, and the police won't even come because the law says that the prosecutors can't prosecute them. Then they have what's called a vacant resident. They can come in your house to get warm to sustain their life. That bill's going to pass eventually. So what we need to do is have a place for people to go where they can get warm, where they can get a meal, where they can get the aid that they need. I was with the Regional Jail Authority for 23 and a half years. And as Deputy Chief of Operations, I seen in all 10 jails, I cleaned out my closet almost on a monthly basis and would take boots and coats and shirts and pants to all 10 jails to provide for people that didn't have nothing. When they got out, they'd have to wear a jail uniform. And with that being said,
30
let me
seconds.
say yes. I worked with the inmates in jail. I've got a lot of inmates that are ex-inmates that are as productive. They serve you food. They cook your food. They work where you go. And they want to make something of their life. I think we ought to try to help them. And I think we ought to try to help ourselves. I pastor New Journey Ministries, and I'll challenge other churches to, we're gonna start donating each month, and I'm gonna challenge every church to start donating, and let's join forces. We can make it happen.
Okay.
Together we can do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
James Burt.
Hello, Council. My name is James Burt. I'm from 2037 Deepwater Mountain Road out of Fayetteville, but I'm also the founder, president, and CEO of Housed Up Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit founded to end homelessness through housing and services. We happen to cover Fayette and Raleigh County. In September of 2023, we were awarded a $50,000 grant through Appalachian Regional Commission to plan a single-room occupancy permanent supportive housing project with a Pathways to Housing program. Now, as we've developed that out some more and added some other elements to it, right now we're looking at a project in Fayetteville to do a mixed-use resident commercial thing to where people that move in can work right downstairs. We want to do a satellite office in the multifamily housing complex to where people that are coming in don't have to travel for resources, they don't have to travel to go to work, and with all that money they save, where do you think they're going to spend that at? Probably in the town that these projects go into. Right now we're planning it in Fayette County. I recently talked to Thompson Moore at Shelley Capito's office that handles appropriations out there, and they're considering doing a congressionally directed spending and using the Fayette County project as a pilot project for a bigger congressionally directed spending project. And I was wondering if Raleigh County or maybe somewhere closer to Beckley could be a site for one of these type of projects. I know we only got a few minutes to talk about it here, but I'm wondering if the City Council of Beckley would see the value in this project like Appalachian Regional Commission and Capito's office have, and would consider Beckley possibly being a site for the congressionally directed spending project.
A workshop on it.
You have any questions?
Well, we can't take questions, but we can just review it and get back to you if you want to. Yeah, if you want to leave your card.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, James. Christina Basin.
Project.
Christina Baisden. First, I want to address the accusation of malice. I'm a human rights activist, and prayer in council violates separation of church and state. So, which you all swore to uphold the Constitution whenever you were sworn into office. This is not a debate. This is what we live by. This is what our country was founded on. Second of all, I'm upset about the shelter not being funded this evening. We're on a 30-day time clock before the doors shut, and we're caught up on a technicality of a lease. We've been through this before with Fruits of Labor. That took 2 years to get a lease in our hands. You know, don't let red tape close the doors of our shelter, please. 3, it is very apparent, because I know procedures and Robert's rules and how these meetings are supposed to work, that you all are continually being manipulated because you don't know how it's supposed to go. So we can take Pinecrest off of being tabled just in November with 0 council members bringing it up. 0. Bill File brought it up. Bill File put it on the agenda. But this evening, you all did it right. Thank you.
Tom Mosley.
I'll be brief. Throughout our city, we have a lot of people whose hard work and love for their community goes unnoticed. And they don't wear a badge, and they don't have a cape tucked away in their closet somewhere. Since last August, I have pushed to have the Outstanding Citizen Award put back into city government. And it's my understanding this has finally come to fruition. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank Councilwoman Shoemaker Dingus, Councilwoman Coots, and Mayor Coots, and Mayor Neal for pushing this through. This is something we need to continue going into the future. It should happen while these folks are living, before they pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Dr. Joseph Golden, did you want to?
They asked me to put my name down, but I didn't know.
I wasn't sure. I would ask. I hope I'm saying it. I think it's Deborah Wallace. Is that right? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Wallace, and I am from Oak Hill, West Virginia, 311 Broadway Avenue. And I belong to the Poor People's Campaign. I hope I'm not stepping out of bounds saying this. But this country, our country, needs a moral revival. Everyone needs to check themselves and see where you stand. And morals mean virtuous, good, righteous, upright, upstanding, high-minded, right-minded, honorable, honest, just, noble, incorruptible. Those are some synonyms for moral. And this is something that Martin Luther King died for. And poor is not a race. Everybody sometimes experience poverty. It's not a black thing, not a white thing, not a Mexican thing. It's everybody that cannot feed their family, everybody that cannot make enough money to sustain their family. So we, as the people, in the Bible, there's about 16 verses that says about the poor people. The poor will always be with us. That's what God said. And you're saying separate state. Yes, it's in the Constitution, separating the state from religion, from the church. But if you are a person of morals and love the Lord, how can you separate it? Why should you separate it? Because we are supposed to help our brother, help our sister that needs a hand. I have a sister right now that's homeless, and she's not on drugs. Never have been on drugs. She got evicted from her apartment housing. And I'm keeping her. And when we tried to find someone, and yeah, she's difficult to get along with. But she is my sister. And I'm not going to have her sitting out there in the street freezing. And that's no one else. I'm not going to have them out there freezing. So, and what you were saying about people coming on our property and, you know, moving in, that's not right. But still, if we had somewhere for them to go, they wouldn't have to come on our private property.
30
and
seconds.
move in. Yeah. So that's what I'm just telling you. We need to check ourselves, and we need to bring morals back into this country, back into this state, and help one another.
Next up, Brian Brown.
I'll be brief in the interest of time. I think everybody can hear me. Thing number one, I was pleased to see the city manager's report. I was, I guess the petty part of me wants to say I told you so when reading the Black Knight loses between $400,000 to $600,000 a year. That was a tremendous waste of the city's resources, spending $3 million to buy it, and then we know we're dumping money in a hole to maintain it. But we were able to maintain the playground for the wealthy. Number two, we have lost 2 more buildings downtown. We know that we're not going to rebuild the buildings, and I implore you not to put up another art installation or another grassy knoll. We need to have buildings rebuilt, and we need a functional parking structure in the middle of downtown. I circle the block for 5 to 10 minutes every day to find a place to park for work. And my clients aren't able to go in. They have to circle and we have to run out and have them sign things because there's no adequate parking on Main Street. We need a logical parking structure that would take up the corner where H&M Shoes and Marie Dress Shop and all of those places used to reside. That's now a gravel lot and with now a hole for 2 more buildings. Our buildings downtown are continuing to deteriorate. We need to enforce some sort of rule that makes vacant landlords that are not putting people in these buildings held responsible for their upkeep, and they need to be fined and to stop the loss of our downtown area. Downtown used to extend down South Fayette Street. It used to be something to see, and now our downtown is plagued with holes. It's plagued with missing buildings and deteriorated and empty buildings, and then people fighting to find parking to go into municipal buildings. So I implore you to not put up another art installation and for us to please think about finding adequate parking for people.
Thank you, Brian. Is it Shannon Minor? Sharon?
Good evening. I didn't know what I was going to say, but I worked for the homeless shelter for a while, and I saw both sides of it. Can y'all hear me? I saw both sides of it. Now, you know, my brother-in-law just retired, Matt Malum, and he is very upset, and he'll probably come with me to the next meeting, but we're all in this together, and I think sometimes we forget it. We try to separate this from that and family and kids and all of that, but if a family has food insecurity and no secure housing, what is going on with the kids? What's going on with the adults? The parents are feeling guilty because the system is against them. So we're all in this together. We need to have more compassion and think more ahead than right in front of you. You need to look over to the side, look look above and beneath, and really, really examine the issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Crookshank?
Hey everyone, Chris Crookshanks. I'm at 205 Westwood. I've been thinking a lot about what I wanted to come out here and say, especially about the homeless shelter. And I'm with you. There are some practical effects that I don't think we're appreciating right now. We have to accept right now the homeless shelter may struggle going forward. This administration is not going to be friendly to programs like that. It'll be harder and harder to secure federal funding. It doesn't matter. I'm looking at a firefighter and 2 officers who will experience more calls than they've ever had because people will be on the street. Our infrastructure can't support not having a homeless. It can't support the number of beds it has now. It needs more beds. It needs more funding. Not everything has to turn a profit. Not everything has to come back budget neutral. And I appreciate that we need a lease. But it can't wait. It can't get caught up. There's the right thing to do, and there's the legal thing to do. And there's a will. If there's a will to get there, we can find it. We can make it happen. We don't have to wait years. We don't have to wait months. We don't have to wait weeks. If there's a will to do it, we can make it happen in days. This is our city. No help is coming from anywhere else. Nucor Steel is not coming here. I hope one day we will see Nucor Steel or a big company come in and give us all of this money and attract all the attention that the northern part of the state has. But it's not happening now. But we have each other right now. We can change things right now. We can't wait. We don't have the time to wait. The firefighters, the EMTs, the police officers don't have the manpower to deal with the fallout. The hospitals will not have the manpower, the nurses, the social workers to deal with the fallout. And these are just things that I've thought of in the past hour. Give me some time. The research has already been done. We're not going to reinvent the wheel. Not ensuring resources is not going to solve the problem. Other cities have tried. Shocker, it failed. Infrastructure that
30
isn't
seconds.
conducive to maintaining the homeless population and giving them a place to go, putting them in contact with resources, it hasn't worked. Our best chance, statistically, is making sure that they have beds available with resources readily available that can get them the help they need. Thanks.
And Anthony, at this time, we'll ask if people are calling in by phone. I'll let you do that while they're there.
If you don't care, just to read the instructions.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're calling by phone, please dial *3 to raise your hand. Anthony will check this for us. If you're connected by computer, simply click on the hand icon on your participants panel. And while we're waiting for that, Councilwoman Coots has something she wanted to bring up.
We kind of dropped the ball a little bit on the West Virginia Collective. I want to talk about that briefly. 4 of us met. Councilwoman, I almost said Barbaric. I'm so sorry. And Kelly Gano and Shane Pierce and I met and talked about how we could help the collective stay fluid and have them here to bring people into town. I know Cody's interested in it. We've talked about how it brings people uptown, and I think that Ms. Gano has talked with the chamber to try to keep the businesses open late in the evenings when we have a performance there. We have a couple of ideas to help them reduce their costs, and I hope that when we get this back on the agenda at the next meeting, we will have a solution. But I did want to mention that because I didn't want the board of directors to think that they were left out. So we'll be talking more about that later.
Okay. All right. Next is a motion to enter into executive session. May I have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
They take it as soon as
Thank you.
you up there, they go into executive session at the White House. They got something coming in to eat. No, that's not all.
I'm sorry. I need to get.
Says in case one comes to chair.
I don't think so. Okay, he's gonna say it.
It says faith, I'll know who bought it.
May I have a motion to leave exec?
Wait a minute, hold on. Oh,
Come on, Kip.
you the first one on. Yeah.
Yeah, pays water bill.
I don't know, but if he don't, I'll be on the man. Bring him in now, slow roll, bro.
Sorry.
You ready?
You ready to go?
May I have a motion to leave executive session and enter back into regular session?
So moved.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no? Okay, great. Councilwoman Hunter, is there something you'd like to say?
Yes, I do. I move that Mr. Fowle meet with counsel for Mr. Brazier as quickly as possible to attempt to resolve an issue with his employment contract, and I further move that a special meeting of City Council be scheduled this Thursday, January 30th, 2025, at 5:30 p.m. to resolve the issue with the employment contract. That is my motion. I need a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no? Okay, thank you, council. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Got parking finish.